Hello again, and welcome back to Granny Dorothy Visits. Today's topic is power to solve personal problems. And the first reading from Wayne Dyer's Everyday Wisdom. When a problem arises, go within, get very quiet about it, and use it to learn something. And the second, and only reading today because it'd be a little bit of a long one, Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. And he entitled this chapter, Power to Solve Personal Problems. I want to tell you about some fortunate people who found the right solution to their problems. They followed a simple but highly practical plan, and in each case, the outcome was a happy and successful one. These people are in no sense different than you. They had the same problems and difficulties that you have, but they found a formula which helped them to get the right answers to the difficult questions facing them. This same formula applied by you can get similar results. First, let me tell you the story of a husband and wife, longtime friends of mine. For years, Bill, the husband, worked hard until he finally reached the ring next to the top of the ladder in his company. He was in line for the presidency of the firm and felt certain that upon retirement of the president, he would be advanced to that position. There was no apparent reason why his ambition would not be realized, for by ability, training, and experience, he was qualified. Besides, he had been led to believe that he was to be chosen. However, when the appointment was made, he was bypassed. A man was brought in from the outside to fill the post. I arrived in his city just after the blow had fallen. The wife, Mary, was in an especially vindictive state of mind. At dinner, she bitterly outlined all that she would like to tell them. The intense disappointment, humiliation, frustration, focused in a burning anger which she poured out to her husband and me. Bill, on the contrary, was quiet, obviously hurt, disappointed, and bewildered. He took it courageously. Being essentially a gentle person, it was not surprising that he failed to become angry or violent in his reaction. Mary wanted him to resign immediately. She urged him to tell them off and tell them plenty and then quit. He seemed disinclined to take this action, saying perhaps it was for the best, and he would go along with the new man and help him in any way that he could. That attitude admittedly might be difficult, but he had worked for the company for so long that he would not be happy elsewhere. And besides, he felt that in the secondary position, the company could continue to use him. The wife then turned to me and asked what I would do. I told her that I would, like herself, undoubtedly feel disappointed and hurt, but that I would try not to allow hate to creep in, for animosity not only corrodes the soul, but disorganizes thought processes as well. I suggested that what we needed was divine guidance, a wisdom beyond ourselves in this situation. There was such an emotional content in the problem that we might possibly be incapable of thinking the matter through objectively and rationally. I suggested, therefore, that we have a few minutes of quietness. No one say anything, that we sit quietly in an attitude of fellowship and prayer, turning our thoughts to the one who said, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them." Matthew 18:20. I pointed out that there were 3 of us, and if we sought to achieve the spirit of being gathered in his name, he would also be present to quiet us and show us what to do. It was not easy for the wife to accommodate herself to the mood suggested, but basically she was an intelligent, high-type person, and she joined in the plan. Presently, after a few quiet minutes, I suggested that we join hands, and even though we were in a public restaurant, I would quietly offer a prayer. In the prayer, I asked for guidance. I requested peace of mind for Bill and Mary, and I went a step further and even asked God's blessing upon the new appointee. I also prayed that Bill would be able to fit in with the new administration and give more effective service than before. After the prayer, we sat silent for a time. Then with a sigh, the wife said, "Yes, I guess that is the way to do it. When I knew you were coming to dinner with us, I feared that you would tell us to take a Christian position on this. Frankly, I didn't feel like doing that. I was boiling inward. But of course, I realize that the right answer to this problem is to be found through that approach. I will try it faithfully, as difficult as it may be." She smiled wanly, but the animus was gone. From time to time, I checked with my friends and found that while everything was not entirely as they desired, they gradually became contented under the new agreement. They were able to overcome their disappointment and ill will. Bill even confided to me that he liked the new man and in a way enjoyed working with him. He told me that the new president often called him in for consultation and seemed to lean on him. Mary was nice to the president's wife, and in fact, they went to the fullest extent to be cooperative. 2 years had passed. One day, I arrived in their city and telephoned them. "Oh, I am so excited I can hardly speak," Mary said. I commented that anything that could put her in that state of mind be of unusual importance. Ignoring this remark, she cried, "Oh, the most wonderful thing has happened. Mr. So-and-so," naming the president, has been selected by another company at a big promotion for a special job, which will take him out of our organization into a much better position. And she posed the question, "Guess what? Bill has just been notified that he is now the president of this company. Come over right away and let the 3 of us give thanks together." Later, as we sat together, Bill said, "Do you know, I am beginning to realize that Christianity isn't theoretical after all. We have solved a problem according to a well-defined, spiritually scientific principles. I shudder to think," he said, "of the terrible mistake we would have made had we not gone at this problem according to the formula contained in the teachings of Jesus. Who in the world," he asked, "is responsible for the silly idea that Christianity is impractical? Never again will I let a problem come up without attacking it in just the way the 3 of us solved this one." Well, several years have passed, and Mary and Bill have had other problems, and to each of them they have applied the same technique, invariably with good results. By the put into God's hands method, they have learned to solve their problems right. Another effective technique in problem solving is the simple device of conceiving God as a partner. One of the basic truths taught by the Bible is that God is with us. In fact, Christianity begins with that concept. For when Jesus Christ was born, he was called Emmanuel, meaning God with us. Christianity teaches that in all the difficulties, problems, and circumstances of this life, God is close by. We can talk to him, lean on him, get help from him, and have the inestimable benefit of his interest, support, and help. Practically everybody believes in a general way that this is true, and many have experienced the reality of this faith. In getting correct solutions to your problems, however, it is necessary to go a step further than believing this, for one must actually practice the idea of presence. Practice believing that God is as real and actual as your wife or partner or business partner or your closest friend. Practice talking matters over with him. Believe that he hears and gives thought to your problems. Assume that he impresses upon your mind through consciousness the proper ideas and insights necessary to solve your problems. Definitely believe that in these solutions there will be no error, but that you will be guided according to the truth, which results in the right outcomes. I believe it is so true. I mean, my husband and I, whenever we have problems, usually with the children, something going on in their lives, we'll hold hands and we'll talk together and we'll talk to God and put it in his hands and help us to know what we should do to help them and to help give us the solution. And it's true, we do get a solution, and we certainly get peace of mind. I couldn't go through life without having God in my life, especially after, when I lost my husband, I lost my daughter, all these things that life is always throwing at us. It must be so hard for people to go through it if they don't have God in their lives. I hope that you do, so that you have joy and peace. And I want you to have a great life. I send you my love. Until next week. Bye for now.